Good morning, friends. Great, beautiful, sunny day. I invite you to rise in body or in the spirit and let's sing a morning song, Bright Morning Stars.
Bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising, bright morning stars are rising. Day is breaking in my soul. Rise up from morning slumber, rise up from morning slumber, rise up from morning slumber. Day is breaking in my soul. Rise up from here call, rise up and hear calling, rise up and hear your calling. Day is breaking in my soul. Oh, lift your voice to heaven. Oh, lift your voice to heaven. Oh, lift your voice to heaven. Day is breaking in my soul. We'll build this faith together. We'll build this faith together. We'll build this faith together. Day is breaking in my soul. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Bright morning stars are rising. Day is breaking in my soul.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist congregation. Thank you for joining us today. We are so glad you're here. My name is Whitney Godby. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a member of the worship arts team. I'm a middle-aged woman with long brown and gray hair, and today I'm wearing a blue dress and a black sweater. Leading worship with me today is OUUC's affiliated community minister, Reverend Carol McKinley, and Troy Fisher, our music director. Our minister, Reverend Mary, sends her greetings from San Diego, where yesterday she delivered the sermon for her good friend's installation as the associate minister at the First UU Church, Hillcrest. Tomorrow, she and her husband will begin their drive back to Olympia, and she looks forward to being at the Thursday dinner this week. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. We are a people of many genders, many racial identities, many economic levels, many sexual identities, and in all ways we are different, united as one people. We are a faith community that believes that diversity is sacred and that we're enriched by the gifts that each of us bring. We affirm that we are all growing and becoming and that we learn from each other. Thank you for your presence here, however you have arrived. Here are a few things you should know about our service in the hopes that you'll feel welcome. We are streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. For those here in the sanctuary, you can see subtitles on the screen in front and on Zoom for those online. We are a multi-generational community that welcomes people of all ages in the sanctuary. Over here, we have soft chairs and activities, and there is also nursery care and a story time program in the classroom wing. So families, please be where you are most comfortable. There are busy bags in a basket just outside the sanctuary doors for anyone ages 5 and older. If your hands need to be busy during the service, please help yourself. We are grateful for the many hands that helped make worship happen this morning, both visible and less visible. Thank you to all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have the chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Carol. For those online, we invite you to go into a breakout room for a virtual coffee chat. And for those in person, please feel free to stay for coffee and fellowship in the Commons. Next Sunday, May 3rd, we will have a plant sale after each service. Come buy plants, garden art, used garden tools, and pots. Our annual auction, which is both a fun evening of dinner, entertainment, and live auction, and a full week of online bidding on a rich variety of items in the silent auction, is not to be missed, and the time to engage is now. Tickets to the May 16th dinner and live auction, which is from 5 to 8 p.m. at Osho, are offered on a sliding scale so all can participate. Please note that childcare is provided free of charge. Learn more, buy tickets, or make a donation to the auction catalog by looking for the auction table in the Commons during coffee hour or by following the link in the weekly email announcements. Today, we invite everyone who would like a new photo taken for the directory to have their photo taken out on the patio. There are many things happening at OUUC. Check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most up-to-date information. As we enter into this time of worship, we invite you to open your heart and your mind to the possibility of transformation in this gathering of community. It is good to be together. This morning, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith tradition, with the words of the Reverend Scott Taylor. May this flame cast its light toward the coming days, reminding us that the future is not simply a place we are going, but a place we're creating. A new world is waiting, not to be found, but to be built. May our time together light the way.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Carol McKinley, and I use she, her pronouns. I am an older woman with white hair, wearing a blue jacket and black top. My stole has images of many of the plants we find here in our wonderful Pacific Northwest. Our opening words are offered by the Reverend Penny Hackett Evans. Each of us brings a separate truth here. We bring the truth of our own lives, our own story. We don't come as empty vessels. We come as full people, people who have our own story and our own truth. We seek to add to our truths and add to our stories. This room is rich with truth, rich with experience. All manner of people are here, needy, joyful, frightened, anxious, bored. We all bring our truth with us. May we all recognize the truth and the story in everyone's life, and may we hear and honor the truths that we all bring as we gather together. Together we have truths. Together we have a story. Together we are community. Come, let us worship together.
Let's sing together again out of the Gray Hymn Book, hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses. I invite you to rise in body and spirit. Let's sing together.
Your vow, if
Hello there. This is, I thought would be easier the second service, but it's still a little outside of my comfort zone. So as we're talking today about the transformational power of stories, I'm going to share a story from my own life with you. I was raised in a religious tradition with a fairly narrow view of truth. And I was also raised by a family who authentically practiced that religion and placed a strong emphasis on love. And I was taught that one of the most loving things you could do for another person was to share the truth with them. Because if a person believed that truth, it meant eternal salvation. But if a person did not hear or rejected the truth, then it meant eternal punishment. I took this quite seriously as a kid and young adult. It felt so urgent and important to share the truth with people that I planned after college to travel to places where not very many people believed that truth and make it my life's work to share it with them. This was a calling that my religious traditions supported and encouraged. So after college, to work toward this goal, I joined the Peace Corps because I thought that would be a good way to get some experience living in another country and learning a new language. So I joined the Peace Corps, and I went through language training, and the community where I was placed to live for the next 2 years was a really small community of about 1,000 people, and it was also a community with a very strong religious tradition, one that was different from mine. So for 2 years in that community, I lived with a family. They shared their home with me, we ate meals together, and I watched them observe their religious beliefs. I also directly experienced what loving people they were. It actually felt quite familiar. Even though they believed in a completely different version of the truth, I noticed a lot of similarities with the way that I was raised. And after a while, I came to feel that sharing the truth from my religious tradition with them was not the most loving thing that I could do. In fact, I found that I could not hold on to that narrow version of the truth that I had arrived with, even for myself. It no longer felt like love. When I started to realize this, it felt like a huge loss of identity. I really wasn't sure who I was or what my purpose in life could be without that truth. Several years later, when I was talking to a therapist about this time in my life, I shared that I felt like I had abandoned the core of my identity, the central part of who I was. And my therapist pushed back on that, like good therapists do. And she suggested that perhaps I hadn't lost or abandoned my identity, but maybe a core value in my life, love, had expanded to mean something different than it had in the past. Thus ends our story. Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practices of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. This is an opportunity to express our gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. We each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, we're able to do more together than any one of us can do alone. If you are new or visiting us, you are a welcome guest. And if you're moved to be part of our offering, what you share is accepted with gratitude. The offering collected here does two things. Half helps support the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by your regular pledges. The other half goes to charity. Most is shared with an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values. And a small portion goes to the OUUC Ministers Benevolence Fund to support the more urgent needs in our community. Our Share the Plate organization for March and April is POWER, Parents Organizing for Welfare and Economic Rights. This is what they share about their work.
Hello, OUUC. My name is Mary Vent, and I am the community organizer at POWER.
My name is Kivette Palmas, and I'm a board member at POWER. Our membership is largely made up of low-income parents who are solo parenting with little support. We strive to change systems that harm people and to mitigate the sometimes daily trauma of poverty that our members live with. We mitigate that trauma by keeping a communal space where people can gather, learn, build skills, and build community. All of our programs are designed to include low-income families who usually are left out of community organizing. So we always have childcare and food on site so that low-income parents can participate and lead. In this paradigm that we live by, low-income parents, mostly moms, are leaders growing in knowledge, skills, and confidence. And they carry that knowledge, skills, and confidence with them into the community and the legislator.
Here's some ways to get involved with POWER. You can follow us on Facebook, where we are listed under our full name, which is Parents Organizing for Welfare and Economic Rights. Follow us, please, and share our events and posts. You can follow us on Instagram, where we are under our name. There is Olympia Mama Power. Or come to our events. We have 2 Sock Monkey workshops coming up. One is on March 17th, and the one in April is April 14th. And also in April, we have Arts Walk, which is the 24th and 25th, and we could really use volunteers for that event. And speaking of volunteering, we are very versatile in our volunteer recruitment, as in you can tell us what you are interested in or what you know how to do, and then we can find a volunteer position for you. It could be database work, grant writing, childcare, legislative advocacy and literacy, outreach and advocacy, event setup, and more. So to volunteer, you can contact me, Mary, the community organizer of POWER, at 352-9716. Thank you for your support.
We offer our thanks to all who give, including those who give to the offering electronically. You can find out about that in the order of service or on the OUUC website. May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
Thank you for your generosity in all the ways you share your gifts. This morning we do what humans have done for all of our existence. We gather in times of worry and fear, and in times of celebration and joy. We come into this community bringing all that is on our minds and in our hearts. Let us now open our hearts to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. You will hear a drum beat. Allow its resonance into your body. It is the heartbeat of life, the heartbeat of community. Right now, I invite you to take a deep breath. Feel the air in your body. Feel the earth beneath you. Feel the warmth of connection. My brother, Jim Smith, died in Bellingham early Wednesday morning. I'm very glad I could be with him on Monday and Tuesday to share our memories and even some laughs. He was my very good friend and a wonderful big brother. Harthorn Campbell's sister, Heather, who is recovering well from cancer treatment, recently announced her plans to wed her long-term boyfriend in July of this year. The news came via text message, which included the phrase, "Hey, I'm getting married, want to come?" And it was a very pleasant surprise. And now let us open our circle wide. For those on Zoom, I invite you to share from your hearts by entering in the chat. Those in the sanctuary can see your sharing on the screen, and it's shared with Reverend Mary and the pastoral care team. For those of you here in the sanctuary, I invite you to come forward if there is something you would like to bring into this community. You may place a stone into the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Now let us hear the heartbeat of our community and read out our hearts in love and care to all of those who share. I invite you forward. We place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart. We'll place one more stone in the water for all that we hold in our hearts and that remain unspoken. Together, we hold all that has been shared. May you feel yourself witnessed. May you know that you are loved. Let us be together in the spirit of prayer and meditation with these words from the Reverend Christopher Buse, inspired by the prayer of St. Francis, words we so need in this world today. Make us instruments of your peace. Where there is indifference, may we bring justice. Where there is selfishness, may we bring equity. Where there is stagnation, may we bring transformation. Where there is homogeneity, may we bring pluralism. Where there is isolation, may we bring interdependence. Where there is greed, may we bring generosity. And where there is hatred, may we bring love. Make us instruments of your peace with love at the center of everything we do. Amen. Let us now hold a moment of silence together.
I invite you to remain seated and let's sing together hymn number 6, Just as Long as I Have Breath. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just
Today's first reading is from The Seasoned Soul, Reflections on Growing Older by the Reverend Eliza Blanchard. The comedian George Carlin joked that only children get excited about growing older. Once we're adults, we seem to forget our wonder at the changes and new skills that aging can bring. The loss of our sense of awe and expectation, as well as the daily challenges of growing older, can weigh heavily on our spirits. Yet growing older is a journey we all share. We find our lives share universal themes, such as how to love, experience joy, bear pain, grieve, deepen relationships and create new ones, retain dignity and passion, serve others, deal with change. These are some of the challenges we all face as we grow older. The good news is that we have more experience, compassion, and understanding to bring to them.
One sure sign that others see you as aging is that they seem unusually keen to talk with you about your memories of the past, of events that happened before they were born, but which were part of your life. And sometimes there even seems to be a sense of urgency in those requests, as though there are concerns you might not make it to the second interview. During the past few months, I was contacted by not one, but two organizations committed to filling in the gaps in my community's history. And they were eager to talk with me about my memories of what to them must seem the very distant past. Although unrelated to one another, both organizations were collecting stories of Olympia's gay history. One is Oliwa Days of Change, which has put together a collection of writings, including written LGBTQ plus personal histories. The second is the Pride Project, organized by Window Seat Media. Now, Window Seat, if you're not familiar with it, is an Olympia oral history and community storytelling nonprofit committed to collecting stories from people here in the South Sound community, stories that may have been forgotten, silenced, or ignored. Now, what did they feel I had to offer to these projects? More than 40 years ago, I had a bookstore called, unoriginally, The Bookstore. In downtown Olympia, it was located on 4th Avenue in a storefront now occupied by a guitar store. The bookstore focused primarily on general, used, out-of-print, and antiquarian books, but it offered a special section, an upstairs women's room that held both new and used books by and about women. Now, in the 1970s and 80s, the possibility of a Barnes and Noble or Borders, remember those, Borders bookstore having a GLBTQ plus section was beyond imagining. Even if such a section existed, the books newly published by the emerging women's small presses in very small press runs would not have been found on their shelves. Women's bookstores emerged in larger urban areas because women empowered by second wave feminism wanted a space where they could feel comfortable pursuing what some considered radical feminist and lesbian literature. Olympia was too small to support a stand-alone women's bookstore, but a general shop could include a women's section. Now, I had and continue to have a special interest in the books being published by the newly formed women's presses, which brought ignored writers to the printed page. And I wanted to support these presses by getting their books into the hands of eager readers. And so the Women's Room was created. Now, today, every bookstore has a GLBTQ plus section. No one must hide the books browsed inside a newspaper or magazine. But during the 70s and 80s, to be seen buying a lesbian novel was a subversive and possibly even a dangerous act. The bookstore soon became a gathering place as well as a marketplace, hosting author readings and a lesbian book club. Now, at the time, I didn't consider these activities to be unusual. The store actually was my passion. I love selling books of all kinds. However, when today's local historians began putting together Olympia's gay history, the bookstore and my role in it were seen as contributing to a previously undocumented story. Now, Window Seat Media's wonderful interviewer, Daniel, and I spent several hours in my living room talking about that past. His skillful questions evoked my memories of events and people that I'd almost forgotten. And those transcribed conversations are now one part of Window Seat's Pride Project, which will be presented during Olympia's Pride celebration in June. Now, during my book-selling years, I didn't feel like I was contributing to history in any way. I was, after all, doing what I loved, selling books, promoting the emerging women's presses, and providing a venue for author talks and reader conversations. Yet the story of the bookstore formed one small part of the story of the GLBTQ plus community in the South Sound, as well as part of my story. And our community story revealed new perspectives on my history, as well as Olympia's history. Stories, after all, help us understand the world and our communities. They give meaning to our lives by helping us to see purpose, identities, and goals, and even possibilities for the future. Individually and collectively, we each hold part of our community's stories, and each one of us has a role in filling in those stories' blank spaces, becoming part of the continuing revelation portrayed in those stories. And they offer a gift for families and friends, offering deeper insights into how you made the choices you made in your life, how you were shaped by values and traditions, some of which may have been inherited from your families, some from life lessons acquired through your experiences. And these stories are treasures to share and to be remembered. I received such a legacy from my father, who was born in 1901. 3 years before his death, my friend Margaret Gribskov, a history professor at the Evergreen State College, was teaching a class on Pacific Northwest farming history, and she invited my father, who was born in a 2-room cabin on his parents' homestead in eastern Washington's Palouse country, to come to her class and share his memories of farm life before World War I. Margaret recorded that session, and it is from that recording that I learned things about my father's childhood and adolescence I never knew. About wheat harvests with teams of 16 horses pulling the combines, of devastating fires that swept through ripe fields of wheat and barley, of wildflowers and birds from his childhood that were eradicated by pesticides and herbicides, of parties at the farm community's social center, the one-room schoolhouse on Lower Downing Creek, or Crick, as my parents said. And those stories brought his past to life and were shared with me. Now, not long ago, I saw a New Yorker cartoon, and the therapist asked the man lying on the couch in her office, "If your life were a reality show, would you watch it?" Well, our lives are, in one sense, reality shows, meaning they are lived in real life and told through our quiet, deep stories of how we interact with and shape our stories. Shape our stories, our families, our communities, and they are stories worth sharing. They're stories that become our part in the continuing revelation of this life we share.
Our second reading is from Joseph Campbell, whose work in comparative mythology covers many aspects of the human condition. Many of us got to know his work through The Power of Myth, a television interview series with Bill Moyers. Campbell writes, "The central point of the world is the point where stillness and movement are together. Movement is time, but stillness is eternity. Realizing how this moment of your life is actually a moment of eternity and experiencing the eternal aspect of what you're doing is the temporal experience. This is the mythological experience."
Most of us do some sort of planning for the end of our lives. We complete necessary documents like a will, a durable power of attorney for health care, and hopefully we've shared those documents with family members long before they need to be used. But beyond the contents of those official documents, what do we want our life to say? What stories do we want to share? Each one of us has years of life lessons, experiences and insights that have shaped our values, our moral, our ethical, our religious grounding, and each person's story is unique. Sharing life lessons, values, and hopes with others can be a legacy that is at least as enduring as that mahogany china cabinet or sterling silver tableware that you inherited from your mother and grandmother, and it's certainly much more portable. And it may be, in the long run, more valued. After all, your story shaped and continues to shape the lives of those around you. What has touched us in our human journeys is learned from difficult times and joyful times. A broken relationship with a brother or sister, the experience of forgiveness and reconciliation, or the exhilaration experienced hiking in the Olympics. Perhaps you remember the awe and wonder as you watched on television as Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon on that summer day nearly 60 years ago, a memory that may have been revived by the recent Artemis journey to the moon. Our memories can be extraordinary gifts to those we love. Reminders that our story continues. When we revisit and share the challenging, the rewarding, and yes, the sacred experiences that have shaped us and this world, we are sharing our full humanity. Recently, an acquaintance mentioned to me that she was part of a group writing ethical wills, and she was finding that writing her own to be a valuable experience. She explained that ethical wills are writings that share with your family and community your values, blessings, life lessons, your hopes for the future. They share your love. The practice of writing an ethical will has lasting value. Like my friend, some write ethical wills at turning points in their lives as they face a challenging life situation. By articulating what we value, what has transformed us, what we stand for, we are helped to come to terms with our own mortality and to create a meaningful gift that lives on. For some, this practice is a spiritual practice done alone. It might be done with a partner or even with a small group. After all, each one of us has a desire to be remembered, to leave something behind. An ethical will is an opportunity to share the values and the experiences that have shaped our lives, our understanding of the meaning and sacredness of this life. It's an opportunity to share our love. It offers a reminder that one thing that can't be taken from us, even with death, is the love and care we give away before we leave this life. What would your ethical will include? The importance of relationships, love for the beauty of this earth, a passion for justice, the value of curiosity about people and ideas, a willingness to risk new experiences, your faith in the goodness of this life, the transforming power of love. Today, more than 80 million baby boomers head into the last stages of life. And what questions might they consider? Might they ask, how do I understand my purpose? Have I fulfilled my purpose? What will I be remembered for? What kind of a legacy have I passed along to my family and friends? Barry Baines is a physician. He heads the Legacy Center, an organization dedicated to preserving stories, values, and meaning for individuals, communities, and organizations. His book, Ethical Wills, is a helpful guide for ways to pass on one's personal values, beliefs, blessings, and even some advice for future generations. And communicating the meaning of our lives is important to our loved ones, and it's important for ourselves. Our lives are deepened and enriched through the process of reflecting upon the past, deciding what we're willing to stand up for, deciding what has shaped our lives. Barry Baines found common themes that run through many of the ethical wills shared with him. Some touched on life lessons that nurtured personal beliefs and spiritual values. One woman wrote how, as a child, she was awakened to the reality of racial discrimination when her mother told her she could not invite her African-American classmate to her 7th birthday party. That memory for that woman fired her 65-year commitment as an activist for racial justice. And like this woman, you can begin by remembering, then telling your stories. You might begin with a notebook, just writing a few words or just a sentence or two about your beliefs and observations. Things you did to act on your values. Like perhaps you joined the most recent No Kings rally, but not just writing that you joined, but why you did it. And one thing you learned, write this down, one thing you learned from your grandparents, your parents, your siblings, friends, role models, your experiences, just your interactions with the world. Start with this idea. Imagine you only have a limited time left to live. What would you want to pass on to your family, friends, and community in an ethical will? Each of us, whatever our age, has been granted a privilege almost unfathomable. Being alive on this earth right now, sharing that gift with others who have been granted the same privilege. And as we learn from each other, revelations emerge and can continue as they are shared with those who come after us. One authority in end-of-life care has observed, it's been said that life is a sexually transmitted condition with a terminal prognosis. So, in light of that unambiguous prognosis, it's never too soon to begin talking about things that matter to you, matter most to you in your life. Passions, values, beliefs. It's never too soon to ask for or express forgiveness, to say thank you, to say I love you to the people who are important to you. These simple words have the power to transform that which matters most in our lives, our relationships with the people we love, and with this world around us. An ethical will with your values, your hopes, and dreams can leave an indelible mark on others. Cultivate outliving your physical time on this earth that we share. We don't need to wait until we're old either, however you might define old. We can start right now. You can take a tip from the essayist Susan Ertz, who observes, "Millions long for immortality who do not know what to do with themselves on a rainy Sunday afternoon." So perhaps a step toward that long for immortality for you could begin on this sunny Sunday afternoon. Just make a few notes, jotting down a sentence or two about some things for which you're grateful. Your experience of world events that are going on right now around us. Your beliefs, your values, like honesty, generosity, acceptance, values that have shaped your life. Wendy Lustbader's book, What's Worth Knowing, is a collection of the wisdom, some hard-won, people found after decades of living. The 86-year-old Martha McCallum described how she discovered a new insight in her own kitchen. She said, "One morning I was sitting at my kitchen table, staring into space. It was one of those windy days when the sun keeps coming out and going in, and all of a sudden a sunbeam crossed my table and hit my crystal salt shaker. There were all kinds of colors and sparkles. It was one of the most beautiful sights I'd ever seen. But you know, that very same salt shaker has been on that kitchen table for over 50 years. Surely there must have been other mornings when the sun crossed the table like that, but I was just too busy getting things done. And I wondered what else I'd missed. And I realized this was it," she said. "I realized this was grace." Martha's words offer a framework for thinking about our own lives, about how we receive those unexpected gifts, discover new ways of looking at the ordinary in our own lives, and then tell meaningful stories about those new insights. After all, we are not just readers of today's story. We're the writers of it as well. And the story does not end as one volume closes. Continuing revelation offers hope. It reminds us that our lives continue. No act of compassion is wasted. No empire is eternal. No story is unimportant. And those stories continue as love continues, going on the ongoing work of healing this world. Each of us being guided and participating in our own way as we act not alone, but together. And we do this not perfectly, but faithfully and with courage. And in doing so, we are helping to be part of the continuing narrative as storytellers of hope, of justice, of community. So share your dreams, hopes, your questions. Pass along what you have found to be true, good, loving. Revelation is not sealed. It continues, and each one of us is part of it. Amen, and so may it be. Now, please take a moment for silent reflection.
invite you to rise in body and our spirit. Let's sing together hymn number 1057, Go Lifted Up.
And extinguish our chalice with the words of one of my mentors, the Reverend Dr. Peter Rabel. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. We are ever bound in community. May you go with joy, go with commitment, go with love. Amen.